Okay, so we have our keyboard here. And the keyboard gets interesting as there's a lot of stuff in this. But here we're enabling and setting Unicode, so that way we can inject the text in if we so as it does want Unicode inputted into the system to work with turned on. It wants it turned on for working with CEGUI, so that you can do this typing. It makes it better for CEGUI. But alright, so there's a lot of extra stuff. We need to add our brackets, open and close brackets. Not every single key that we had in SDL is going to translate into CEGUI here, Crazy Eddie's GUI. And the reason why is because you'll notice that a lot of the keys here you'd have to hold down Shift and then hit the $sign. So we ended up like coding out the same key more than once, but the key was for the Shift attribute here. And Crazy Eddie didn't do that. Instead, he just did every little key press on the keyboard, but you only do it not for modifier keys. Now the modifier keys are being read in, and so it automatically figures out the correct variation thereof for the key. So he didn't feel like it's necessary to do every variation of every key that you could do, which they did do for SDL. Okay, so and it's possible to not do that. It's fine, it works. So we're going to do CEGUI here, : system : get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject key down, open parentheses, CEGUI : key : arrow left, close parentheses, semicolon. You'll notice a pattern here. It's the same all the way down. The only thing we're going to change is this here and add these here, because we have more than one line, so of course we have to do that with our if. So cool. And this will pass the arrow keys to Crazy Eddie's GUI system that we're using here. So we're going to do that for left key, right key, up key. So check it out. Arrow right, arrow up, arrow down, so on and so forth. Feel free to pause and type this in as you go along. And then we have key A here for the A key. And it's going to be the B key for the B key. And then the C key for the C key, and the D key for the D key, and E key for the E key. Okay? Go ahead and feel free to pause, and then just do what you need. Go on the way down. Here we go. F key for F key, G key for the G key, H key for the H key, I key for the I key, J key for the J key. Going on further down. K key for the K key, L key for the L key, M key for the M key, N key for the N key, O key for the O key. Going on down. P key for the P key, of course. Q key for the Q key, R for R, S for S. See? T for T, U for U. Feel free to copy and paste. Select it, Control C, then Control V. Get the pasting. V key for the V key, W key for the W key, X key for the X key, Y key for the Y key, Z key for the Z key. F1, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. And then we go down here for F6, F7, F8, F9, F10. F11, F12, F13, F14, F15. And then we get into our keyboard. Right? So keyboard is KP0 for numpad 0, numpad 1, numpad 2, numpad 3, numpad 4. Numpad 5, numpad 6, numpad 7, numpad 8, numpad 9. We need to do that. I know you can pass injection directly into the Crazy Eddie GUI, but it only works on Windows. In order to make sure it's cross-platform compatible for all systems, we need to do it per key like this, and we do a key translation, and that's what we're doing here. We're translating the keys from SDL and passing those over to Crazy Eddie's GUI, and that's what injection means. Think of it like, I don't know, injecting herbs into a roast or something like that, right? Same thing, we're injecting our input from SDL into Crazy Eddie's GUI system to make use of it. So we're passing it. Injection basically means passing the values that we're getting from SDL into Crazy Eddie's GUI. Okay. Backspace for the backspace, tab for the tab key. We don't have one for clear key. Return for the return key. Yeah, like I said, not all the keys, so I know you're probably expecting some of these and they're not going to be there. Pause for the pause key. Escape for the escape key. Space for the space key. Nothing for any of these here. Going all the way down, none of these. Okay. Alright, all the way down to comma. Alright, so comma for comma key here, minus for the minus, period for period, slash for slash, colon for colon, and then we're going to get down here to semicolon. Semicolon here. Equals is equals. Left bracket is left bracket. Backslash is backslash. Right bracket is right bracket. And then we go down to delete, and it's delete. And this is where it gets things changed a little bit here. Okay, so SDL keypad, sorry, period. It's going to be called decimal instead. So be aware of that. The keypad divide is going to be divide. Your keypad multiply is going to just be multiply, and then your keypad minus is actually going to be subtract. Be aware of that. Keypad plus is add. Be aware of that one too. Okay. Keypad enter is going to be numpad enter for Crazy Eddies, and then keypad equals is going to be numpad equals. So be aware of that too. SDLK insert. The insert is going to be insert. Home is going to be home. End is going to be end. Yeah, most of these match up, but not all of them. Page up, page up. Page down, numlock, numlock. Scroll lock. Yeah, caps lock is skipped. There was no caps lock when I looked into the list of values. I'm just hunting it down. If there is one, great. But it wasn't in the documentation when I did look up the listing for it. So, key state here, SDLK right shift. It's going to be spelled out right shift, which is more straightforward. L shift is left shift inside of SDL. It's going to become a left shift here. Right control, R control, same thing. L control, left control. Yep. Right alt is right alt key. Left alt, L alt, is left alt. Left Windows key, L super. Right Windows key, R super. System rec, sysrec. Well, not rec, it's just sysrq. So be careful with that. App menu for menu key. So when you have menu here button, it's going to become the app menu one here. Okay, and then power for the power key on the keyboard is also just power. So with that all said and done, I believe that was the last one. You could have also done it for modifiers too for your shifts or whatever if you like. I didn't bother because I already passed it through once. I didn't see the need to do it twice over. I was just showing you all the modifier methods to do it too, so you saw every possible way to code all this stuff for the most part. Okay. So that's the keyboard here. Now they're going to want absolute value for the positions and such. So because of that, I'm going to do Crazy Eddy GUI, so CEGUI here, system, get singleton dot inject mouse position, right? Then we're going to do a static underscore cast, so we're going to do a static casting here. And we're going to do is float for our static casting, and it's going to be mouse ABS here x, comma, for absolute value. Static underscore cast, open, close, greater than less than signs, float inside of it, open parentheses, mouse ABS Y here, close parentheses. And this again is our absolute position. So it's not relative to where we were previously, it's just where we are on the screen absolutely, which makes sense. That's what you're going to want to pass in to Crazy Eddie, because that's what you're going to be like, you just want to know where the cursor is when you're clicking on stuff. Now we can do our own custom cursors inside Crazy Eddie GUI system, so it's really cool, and particularly nice when you're doing game development stuff. Okay, so and then in here I have CEGUI here, system, single get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject mouse button down, open parentheses, CEGUI, left button, close parentheses, semicolon. And that's going to do our left button down for the mouse. Left button up for our mouse. Middle mouse button down. Button down. If only I could speak. I used the SDL commands here for middle mouse and right mouse, and it'll work in most circumstances. It didn't translate for my particular mouse because I have like, gosh, I don't know, 6-7 buttons on this mouse, and so it didn't quite translate properly, but for the most part it worked out fine. For whatever reason, my button's non-standard is button number 4 for right mouse button, so you may need to do something special and not be able to follow just the SDL for right mouse button. And I mean, I could have done I could use instead, if I want to, my right mouse button that I came up with. So for instance, right mouse button, and then that will translate for my particular mouse because I coded out separately for my mouse in particular. Default, this will work fine. But so you may want to have it where you can custom set up, because the SDL defaults for stuff doesn't always work depending on what the manufacturer has done with the mouse for its codes. So be aware of that. Also, in order to access the mouse wheel, I then inserted this one too. Well, first off, let's do this first here. So CEGUI system get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject mouse button down, open parentheses, CEGUI middle button, close parentheses, semicolon. So middle button is middle mouse button. Okay, so on and so forth here. CEGUI here, system, get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject mouse button down, close parentheses, CEGUI, right button, close parentheses, semicolon. Okay, cool. Now let's not forget about our mouse wheel. So we can also do SDL underscore button underscore wheel down, close parentheses here, and then we do CEGUI, system, get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject mouse wheel change, open parentheses, -1, close parentheses, semicolon. If it's mouse wheel up, so this is which direction you're rolling your mouse wheel, up or down, so to speak. And now we're going to do if mouse wheel state here, equals SDL underscore button underscore wheel up, close parentheses, open curly brace, CEGUI, system, get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject mouse wheel change, open parentheses, +1, close parentheses, semicolon, close curly brace here, and that's going to give us our mouse wheel up. So that lets us roll our mouse wheel up and down, so that way we can have mouse wheel access within our menu systems and stuff like that. It's really great when you have like a list box or anything of that nature where you want to have the mouse wheel do something. Combo box, etc., etc., etc. Alright, so if we wait here, joystick we don't have to do squat with. It's fine. We don't need to touch any of that. It's great. Oh yes, one other thing. We're also going to inject time pulse, so that way we pass the time pulse over to Crazy Eddie's GUI system. And this will work for 47 days. If the program runs for 47 days non-stop, so if someone starts playing their game for 47 days without stopping, I guess they have a problem. I'm not worried about someone playing a game non-stop for 47 days. But if that's a concern of yours, you can code around that problem if you like. Of course, someone would be dead if they didn't, stop playing their game to go eat food and drink water by about the 9th day or something. So, and by the 7th day without sleep, they're gonna die anyways. So, it's not something I'm really worried about. It's just not realistic for someone to play a game for 47 days nonstop. Alright, so anyhow, inject time pulse here, open close parentheses, open curly brace, static double here, last time pulse. And now the static is going to make this stay in memory within inside of our function. So normally the variables are going to get destroyed, right? But static doesn't get destroyed. Instead, it stays around in memory forever until the actual program is closed out altogether. And then it's released back to system RAM. So this puts it on the stack and for the memory stack with inside of C++. And it's allocated by C++, and it's removed by C++ at the time when the application actually closes altogether. So that's cool. We don't have to do memory management for it, but realize this value is going to stay around after this function closes. All the other variables are not static, and they will not stay around, and they are going to get closed out. So be aware of that. That is the difference between static and not having a static variable. So that's how you keep a value around in memory after a function is no more, if you need it. In this case, we need it because we need to detect when the first time is set, basically. So this only gets executed the very first time this function runs, and then it's not executed again, and then it's stored in memory for thereafter. So we're going to do SDL get ticks. So this is going to get the time here in ticks. So you have like different ticks, like 1,000 milliseconds. Each millisecond's a tick, for a clock cycle in the computer. A clock cycle is called a tick, if you will. So we get the ticks from the computer, so it gives us our starting time more or less, and then we're going to multiply this thing times 0.001 in order to get down to its millisecond range, and to make it smaller because this number gets very large otherwise. Ridiculous. This will convert it from milliseconds into seconds. So because again, this is in milliseconds because it is get ticks, right? And there's 1,000 milliseconds for a single second. So that's why we multiply it times 0.001, because if you multiply 1,000 times 0.001, you'll end up with 1, which would be what? 1 second, right? So 1,000 milliseconds, because we're on the metric system, gives us 1 second. Cool. And then this gets us over into per second basis here, which is nice. Okay, so thereafter we get our time, and so this is our current time. So every time this function runs, we get the current time versus our initial time, and this way we can find out how much time has passed. Okay, so that gives us our current time here, and now we're going to inject this time value passed to Crazy Eddie's GUI system. So Crazy Eddie GUI system : get single open close parentheses dot inject time pulse here close parentheses float close parentheses. So we're doing a typecasting here, a float, time minus last time pulse here. So we're going to get the difference between when we first so this will basically let us know how much time has passed. Okay, so we get to find out the difference between the last time it passed and when current time now. And since this is held static in memory, we know how much time has passed every single time this function is called. So that's very useful, and it's really great and helps us out a lot. Okay, so basically that's what's going on, and this lets us find out how much time has passed over into Crazy Eddie's GUI system. Right, and then we store the new time. So this gives us our new time, which we're just saying time is equal to our last time, which will replace the value in here. But again, this is a static variable, so it's not going to get removed, and so it's going to stay around in memory after the function closes. So the next time this thing comes through, it's still going to contain the time from the previous time this function was called, which is what was set to there. And now we can find out the time difference between now when the function is called and the previous time when the function was called. And in this way we get how much time has passed. So in seconds every time this thing is called. So that's useful. Alright, so int main here, I did at exit we do SDL underscore quit. So that way, when we exit the window or whatever, this is the clean way to exit SDL. I did read it in documentation earlier, I just didn't put it in until now. I decided to finally go ahead and and put that in like I should. But this is the most secure, safest way to close out of SDL. So at exit over here, open parentheses, SDL underscore quit, close parentheses, semicolon. And so we're saying when we're exiting the application, go ahead and quit SDL. So that way we make sure that the SDL is also closed out like it should be. All right. None of this changes here. So it's all the same. None of this changes either. Cool. Oh, we'd have to allow resizing of the window if we wanted to be able to resize the window. I forgot to pass that in. Yeah, that would matter. Okay, before we set the video mode, you would have to do that over in here, I think. I went over it earlier. No, wait, it'd be over here. Yeah, SDL resizable. So I probably want to make this resizable too. In here. If you want to resize it. No frame. If you want to do a no frame, you know, so on and so forth. I went through this on another video earlier. So, let me just do a quick test build of this. Yeah. Okay, cool. And you can see I can resize my window now. And I made this compatible with Crazy Eddie's GUI too, by the way. So you do need to do SDL resizable in order to make it compatible with Crazy Eddie's GUI, so that way you can resize windows. So that's important. But yeah, you'll need to set that right there. So that'd be one thing that needs to be changed. Can I do spaces? I can't do spaces. That's what I thought. Just one quick test of it, because I like to make sure. It's like 1 pixel wide. Alright, there you go. Great. Works great. Awesome. Okay. Besides all that, we have to do Crazy Eddie's GUI, OpenGL renderer, : bootstrap system, open close parentheses, semicolon. And yeah, we need to do this with SDL, so we need to bootstrap it for OpenGL renderer. Okay? And we need to run that after we've set up our video mode and everything. Okay? We need to run our, for each frame that's done, we basically need to do our inject time pulse and pass that to Crazy Eddie's GUI system. Then I want to run my draw scene and SDL event here. So I'm going to read in and detect the event of what happened. In this case, SDL keys being pressed down, so on and so forth. I've also set this up for Unicode being passed to Crazy Eddie's GUI system, so that way it passes the actual letter key, so when you're typing it just passes those over with the Unicode. That's important. If you don't do that, Crazy Eddie wants that, and it makes things life easier for him for his setup here. Now, if we didn't have, let me put an event here. Now, if we were only doing this in Windows, we could get away with this instead of coding out for all the different characters and passing those over to Crazy Eddie GUI system. But since we're doing this multi-platform compatible, this is not going to work on other platforms. It only works on Windows. So be aware of that, and I'm just commenting that out, and that's why we did our longer code out of the setup here up above. Okay, so after that we can break. I did the SDL escape key here, set to true for ending this thing. If event here key set mod control key is still set up same, who cares? That was just for demonstration purposes beforehand. Case here SDL underscore key up here CEGUI : system : get singleton open close parentheses dot inject key up here open parentheses event dot key sim dot scan code close parentheses semicolon. So here we're passing in the event key scan code here to Crazy Eddie's GUI system on event where the key is up and no longer being pressed. So we can't do that with a direct method, so we need to do that with a polling method here for SDL. Also for mouse button up, we also can't do that through the direct method. We can only do mouse button down, so we need to do the mouse button up being handled here. So, you know, and then again, if you want, you can do this whole setup here like I did earlier with right mouse button like that, and then that will work too, or should. Let me double check real quick. I'm not just saying that. Yeah. I also set up for middle click for mine because I felt like it. Wasn't required, but I didn't care. I just wanted to do it for the fun of it. Alright. So, there we go. And that works out great. And so that lets me know when right mouse button is up on this particular mouse here. Alright, so we also did if event button, you know, dot button equals SDL underscore button underscore middle here. And of course we're just doing CEGUI here, system, get singleton, open close parentheses, dot inject mouse button up, close parentheses, CEGUI, left button, close parentheses, semicolon here. And that gives me Crazy Eddie's GUI system here for passing up the left button being released. Same thing goes here for the middle mouse button. So it's the same as above. We just change left button to middle button. So copy and paste, please. So after you do this first one, copy and paste it. Change left to middle here, and then change this from left to middle here. And ta-da, that's it. And then change this to middle here also. Same thing here for the right mouse button too. So copy and paste, and then change this to whatever your setup here is. Maybe you want to do this if you can get away with it, or maybe you want to use my setup here, which is not totally useless because again, if you get custom buttons set up that you need, you can set that this way, and that way the numbers correspond to whatever a custom button setup is. Change it from middle left to right here. Change from left to right here. Well, yeah, change it this to this altogether if you want to do that. If you want to do this here, then change it from right to left here, and then change this from left to right here also. Okay, cool. And mouse motion, mouse button down. We already did that up above. And then direct method. Video resize, yes, we need to do this too. Okay. So case here SDL underscore video resize colon. So in the case where we do a video resize with SDL, we need to pass over this injection to Crazy Eddie's GUI. So CEGUI system get singleton open close parentheses dot notify display size changed. Oh yeah, we got a long one. All right. So notify display size changed. Open parentheses CEGUI size open parentheses event dot resize dot W for the width, comma event dot resize dot H for the height. And these are, of course, SDL for getting the width and height of the window that's been resized to. And we're passing that to Crazy Eddie GUI's setup here. Close parentheses, semicolon. Get our keyboard with direct method, get our mouse with direct method, get our joystick with direct method, close our joystick, SDL quit, return 0, and of course close curly brace. And that's it for setting up our Crazy Eddie GUI system inside of our SDL application. And then how to add extra windows and stuff like that we'll get into later, along with different types of menu attributes and stuff like radio buttons, drop down boxes, etc., etc., etc. Now let's pop back over to our other build here and see how it's doing. Okay, great. It finished and it left and it all went perfectly. Awesome. So now I need to do sudo here. So you should be done too at this point. And make install. If it's still compiling, okay, cool. You know, depends on the speed of your computer. If I do sudo make install, this is basically going to and we have to put in our password because we're doing a root I mistyped. Alright, so there we go. And so this is going to automatically install these libraries into the proper location. And it's going to go into /usr /local /include and also /usr /local /libs. That's where it's going to install these files. So I'm going to go ahead and I can show you that actually as it does it. So outside of the docs folder here, going over into a system folder, and granted it's going to run slow right now because we are doing all that transfer and copying and everything, so it should bog down your system quite a bit while we're doing this. Okay, with that said, user local, and check it out, we now have inside of include CEGUI. Bam, there's that library. And then also under lib, CEGUI lib here too for different library files. Very cool. And it's done, and it all went through perfectly. And there we go. So now with that, the only thing we have left to do is type in ld config like so. Well, I'll tell you what. I had this earlier already set up, right? So if I do this now, bam, so it pulls it up, and there's all our libraries that we installed earlier, and there we are. So all I did was this ld config space -v vertical bar grep space lib CEGUI star. Now the vertical bar is right above your enter key, and that's your pipe. And basically what I'm doing is I'm redirecting this input that would normally go to the screen. I'm passing it to the grep command instead. And the grep command searches through what's passed to it and finds just what I'm looking for, which is this, and then emits everything else, and then displays that to the screen. If I wanted to at this point in time, I could then redirect it to another file and then analyze it as a file if I liked, and just give it a file name like, I don't know, my file for instance, .txt, and it will generate that file. Bam, there it is. And then if I do an ls, check it out, there's my file.txt. If I cat that file, my file.txt, it will then display the contents of that file. So then I have it stored as a file. But basically with that, that covers how to get Crazy Eddie's GUI set up and working in Linux. It should be a lot of the same process for the Mac also. And especially if you use, there's a new tool, I pulled it up earlier. I'll pull it up. There's an actual way of doing this Ubuntu style method of installing applications for the Mac. And if you so desire, you can do that. But with that, you will be set up now, and you should be able to compile your Crazy Eddie GUI system with this whole setup. So after you're done doing this, and you coded everything out correctly, as I did over here, and we're showing you how to do here, and you've set up your code blocks and everything at this point, you should be able to now hit build and run, and you should get this application. Alright, so with that, that was how to set up Crazy Eddie GUI system, custom build and compile it, configure it, all this stuff, install the libraries you needed, and also code it up for just a very basic window launch of it. And then we can start adding additional windows by adding children windows to our main window and allowing them to be moved, manipulated however we want, moved all over the screen. This will allow us to create our own game editor or our own GUI system for inside the actual game itself. And so that's very cool. But with that, that's the Crazy Eddie GUI system working with SDL and the build compiling all this. My name is Nate Nestler, and this is for Hyperactive Studios. Thank you very much.